In the early 2010s, Facebook was not just a social media platform, it had become the digital heartbeat of modern life. With over 1 billion users around the world sharing photos, thoughts, and personal experiences every day, it had transformed how people connected, consumed news, and viewed reality. For millions, it was a space for friendship and expression. For businesses and politicians, it was a goldmine of data, a vast network of profiles that revealed what people liked, feared, and believed. But beneath the cheerful posts and friendly notifications, something far deeper and more controversial was brewing. What began as an experiment in data analytics would eventually unravel into one of the most explosive privacy scandals in modern history, the Facebook, Cambridge Analytica scandal. The story began with a man named Alexander Kogan, a data scientist and researcher at the University of Cambridge. Around 2014, Kogan developed a seemingly harmless Facebook app called This Is Your Digital Life. It was presented as a personality quiz, the kind that asked fun questions about habits, preferences, and beliefs. About 270,000 people downloaded it, granting permission for the app to collect their personal data. But Facebook's policies at the time allowed the app not only to collect data from the users themselves but also from all their friends, without those friends' explicit consent. In one stroke, the app gained access to tens of millions of profiles, including names, birthdays, interests, locations, and even political leanings. What most users didn't realize was that this data wasn't just being used for academic research. Kogan had a deal with a British political consulting firm called Cambridge Analytica, which was funded by American billionaire Robert Mercer and linked closely to Stephen Bannon, a political strategist who would later play a major role in Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Cambridge Analytica's mission was to harness the power of big data to influence elections. They believed that by analyzing vast amounts of personal information, they could create detailed psychological profiles of voters, understanding what motivated them, what scared them, and what messages might change their behavior at the ballot box. To Cambridge Analytica, the data harvested from Facebook users was the key to unlocking a new era of political campaigning. Traditional political strategy relied on polls, focus groups, and television ads. But this new method offered something far more precise: micro-targeting. With the help of algorithms, the company could craft personalized political advertisements tailored to individual voters, predicting not only how they might vote but how to influence their emotions. It was political persuasion on a level never seen before. At first, Facebook had no idea what was happening behind the scenes. The platform was growing at a staggering pace, its leadership focused on innovation, advertising revenue, and global expansion. When Mark Zuckerberg finally appeared before the public in March 2018, he looked visibly shaken. In interviews and statements, he admitted that Facebook had made serious mistakes but insisted that the company never intended to allow data misuse. He said Facebook had been deceived by Cambridge Analytica and that the firm had lied about deleting the data in 2016. But for millions of users around the world, those words were not enough. They wanted accountability. They wanted to know how a company that claimed to value privacy could lose control of personal data from tens of millions of people. As congressional hearings were scheduled, Facebook's top executives prepared for what would become one of the most public reckonings in tech history. In April 2018, Mark Zuckerberg testified before the United States Congress, facing hours of questioning from senators and representatives. The event was broadcast live, watched by millions, and dissected across media outlets. Lawmakers pressed him about everything from data privacy to political manipulation and the spread of misinformation on the platform. Some questions were sharp and informed, while others revealed how little many in government truly understood about how Facebook worked. Still, the overall message was clear: Facebook had failed to protect its users. Zuckerberg apologized repeatedly, saying, "It was my mistake, and I'm sorry." He promised to reform Facebook's policies, restrict third-party access to data, and increase transparency in political advertising. Yet as he sat before Congress in his dark suit and cautious tone, many saw him not as a visionary leader, but as a CEO struggling to control a creation that had grown beyond anyone's power to manage. His testimony marked a turning point not only for Facebook but for the broader technology industry. It signaled the beginning of a new era of public skepticism about how digital platforms use personal information. Behind the scenes, the investigations were intensifying. In the United Kingdom, the Information Commissioner's Office, ICO, launched a criminal inquiry into Cambridge Analytica and its parent company, SCL Group. British investigators raided the firm's offices, seizing hard drives and documents. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, reopened its investigation into Facebook, focusing on whether the company had violated a 2011 consent decree that required it to protect users' privacy. If found guilty, Facebook could face enormous fines. The evidence that emerged painted a disturbing picture of how personal data had been handled. Cambridge Analytica had developed what it called psychographic targeting, a system that categorized individuals based on traits like openness, conscientiousness, and emotional stability. These traits, known collectively as the Ocean model, were derived from users' likes, shares, and online behavior. By combining this information with voter records, Cambridge Analytica's team could craft me. The Cambridge Analytica scandal had become a turning point not just for Facebook but for the entire technology industry. Governments, journalists, and the public were now aware of how easily data could be harvested and weaponized. Yet, as the investigations continued, a deeper truth began to surface: this was not just about one company or one election. It was about the fragile balance between technology, privacy, and democracy in the digital age. In the months following the revelations, Facebook launched a full-scale damage control campaign. Mark Zuckerberg appeared before the United States Congress in April 2018, wearing a dark suit and a solemn expression. For nearly 10 hours across 2 days, senators and representatives questioned him about data privacy, user consent, and the company's role in the Cambridge Analytica affair. Some lawmakers seemed unprepared to grasp the technicalities of Facebook's data practices, but others pressed hard. The phrase, "Senator, we run ads," became a viral moment, showing how far the conversation about technology had drifted from public understanding. Zuckerberg apologized repeatedly, saying that Facebook had failed to protect user data and that it was a mistake to trust third-party developers so easily. He promised reforms, greater transparency, and stricter controls on data access. However, many critics viewed his testimony as carefully rehearsed damage control rather than genuine accountability. Meanwhile, users across the world began deleting their Facebook accounts, joining the viral #DeleteFacebook campaign. It was the first time the company faced a serious user backlash on such a massive scale. By mid-2018, the British Parliament's Digital, Culture, Media and Sport Committee had released a scathing report describing Facebook as digital gangsters. The report accused the company of prioritizing profits over user privacy and failing to act responsibly when faced with evidence of abuse. The UK Information Commissioner's Office fined Facebook £500,000, the maximum allowed under pre-GDPR law, for its role in the Cambridge Analytica data breach. Though the fine was symbolic compared to Facebook's vast earnings, it carried a powerful message about corporate negligence. Across the Atlantic, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, FTC, began its own investigation. In 2019, the FTC announced a record-breaking $5 billion fine against Facebook for violating user privacy and failing to comply with previous consent agreements. The settlement required the company to implement new privacy controls and independent oversight mechanisms. Yet even that unprecedented penalty did little to erase the damage to Facebook's reputation. Many privacy advocates argued that the fine was a slap on the wrist compared to the scale of the harm caused. Meanwhile, Cambridge Analytica itself collapsed under the weight of global outrage. The company declared bankruptcy in May 2018, shutting down operations in the UK and the US. Former EXE